The good people, everyone, if you go back and look at them, even Scorsese made these great short films and stuff, but Who's That Knocking on My Door took years to make, and then he came out, and some people liked it, some people didn't. It got him a job doing a Roger Corman movie. You know, it wasn't until Mean Streets, it wasn't until his third feature that people went, whoa, this is really good.
My record player doesn't work now.
Your stereo's broken?
Yeah.
How can you stand it? I couldn't live without music.
Actually, Taxi Driver was a big one, too. I saw Taxi Driver. That movie's so violent and everything. You know, I think that performance by De Niro is one of the best things I've ever seen. I remember watching the end of season 2 of Barry and going, it wasn't until we were on the mixing stage that I went, oh man, I like Taxi Driver. This is the end of Taxi Driver. You know, and you don't really realize it while you're doing it sometimes. To me, it always kind of comes out in a very intuitive way and sometimes in kind of a subconscious way. You know, you watch something 20 times over 30 years or something, it becomes ingrained in you. You know, it wasn't until I was mixing the last episode of season 2 that I was like, oh my God, this is Taxi Driver. You know, we're doing Taxi Driver. This is embarrassing. Yeah, I mean, everybody has those things. Like, I've said that to other filmmakers, and they're like, well, everything is that. You know, like Scorsese's doing Godard and Fassbender, and you know what I mean, and all these other things.
It's just ingrained in you. You know what I mean? It's like you talk to certain musicians, and they're like, I can't even. Or like Scorsese, he can't even talk about The Searchers because he's just like, I've seen it so many times, it's ingrained in me. And Taxi Driver is just clearly one of those movies for me.
I know that, I think you were telling me once when you were a kid, you'd go over to sleepovers and people thought, oh, these kids are probably watching, you know, pornography.
Yeah, right.
It's like, no, you were watching A Clockwork Orange or Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I was watching Taxi Driver, yeah.
And studying the shots.
But that, I will say though, this brings me up to the biggest influence that this movie had on my life. And it's what turned me, I mean, as you guys, like, as you know, just like fans of things, and where, I don't know if you've had this, whether it's with sports, music, anything, where it's like you go from being someone who loves something to like something unlocks in your brain, and then it makes you an obsessive, where you go, oh wow, there's like this whole deep chasm into this that I didn't even understand.
There'd be like kind of philosophical moments, and those moments also could be termed, you know, as just cinematic, you know, where it's you know, the thing, I've said this a bunch, but I remember as a kid seeing, I was way too young to see it, but seeing Taxi Driver.
Oh shit.
And there's a scene in Taxi Driver that I think the most violent part of Taxi Driver, the worst scene, is when he takes Sybil Shepherd to the porn movie, because it's just so humiliating.
You gotta be kidding. What? This is a dirty movie.
I can't watch. It's the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. And even at the age of 10, I was like, oh no, dude, what are you doing? and I watched, so it's this awful scene. He takes her to this porno movie. It goes wrong. But also kind of, yeah, I used to think, oh, he's doing it because he doesn't know any better. But then as I watch it now, I'm like, oh, maybe it's a self-sabotage thing. It's more psychological.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are so lucky. I remember going into like the woods, and there would be like a steel box in the woods that would have naked photos in it that some guy's cousin put in there. And you're like, where is it? And now people stumble upon the most high quality porn possible. They're like, oh, wow. Oh man, I meant to put in this. But, oh, get this off my screen. I've watched this movie. I've gone to see it in the theater a couple of times, like when it plays places, because I just want to see it in the theater. And every time that scene comes up, I go to the bathroom. It's just too hard for me to watch. That scene comes up, and especially when you're, you know, whatever, in like 6th grade or whatever, and girls are just terrifying you. It's the most embarrassing thing you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And it's still one of the most embarrassing things ever. And it's also, now watching it, I realize how self-destructive it is. I literally, when I watched it as young, I was like, oh, he doesn't know any better. Now I watch him like, oh, he knows what he's doing. He's like, I'm going to take this beautiful thing, and I just want to, like, this clean, I just want to sully her. But there's a moment in it where then he calls her on the phone, and he's on this payphone in a hallway, and he's saying, did you get the flowers I sent you? Did you get that? And he's trying to, you could tell that she doesn't want to
see him again, but he's asking her questions, and it's really painful to watch. And you're watching, and then the camera dollies off of him, completely unmotivated. Just dollies off of him as he's talking, and it lines up going down a hallway, and he's continuing to talk, but now he's off camera. And then he enters and walks out. And I remember thinking that was the first truly cinematic moment I felt in my life, because it felt like,
really,
the movie doesn't want to watch this.
Oh, shit.
You know? It's like,
that's very
this
interesting.
is so painful.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't want to watch this. And I thought, man.
It's averting its eyes.
I went, oh, the movie doesn't want to watch this. You know, I went, oh, the filmmaker doesn't want to, like, the movie can't watch this. The movie's just like, let's just go over here for a second. You know, this is too hard.
The movie doesn't want to watch this. Like, the director's like, I can't watch this. So I'm going to it's like an emotional camera move. It's like, I can't watch this.
You know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one was interested in that. Or it was like, see how the camera, it's like a subjective camera move.
I gotta go.
And they're like,
they have those in porn.
What the hell's wrong with you? Subjective camera move. Why the hell you in my house? The father comes in tighty whities. I just hear subjective camera move. Where the hell you come from? I want you to get out of my house. Looks like we got ourselves a film buff. Yeah. Where it clicked in my head, where everything was different, because I was watching just movies that everyone watches, and kids' movies, all the Spielberg, George Lucas stuff, which I love. It was great. And I went, oh wow, you can do that. It just unlocked the thing in my head.
And how old were you then?
I was 10.
Wow.
So it was hard to go see, no offense to Barry Levinson, but I remember going to see The Natural and being like, this is no Taxi Driver. Yeah, you could do that. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's okay to do that. You're allowed to, as a filmmaker, as an artist, say, well, how am I reacting to this? I don't know if that was Scorsese's, that was what he was thinking. That's how it hit me, And so there's always moments like that it's intuitive, and I don't know if philosophical is the right term, but in a reflective way, it made you, I had an emotion, and I reflected on, that cinematic moment, and it really stuck with me.
And I don't know if that was what his purpose was or whatever, but for me watching it, that thing in 6th grade or whatever it was, suddenly it was like, whoa, I didn't know that you could do that, or even if that's what it meant, but it affected me in such a massive way. And that's when I think I just became, it's very rare that I can go that right there is when I became like a full movie fanatic,
Look, once you take the record,
I've already got it.
That's why I love his movies, is that he makes them, whatever it is, personal. I know someone who worked on Raging Bull and said he had an oxygen, or he has bad asthma. That had nothing to do with cocaine, but he almost died and then went and he almost went and did. He died doing New York, almost died making New York, and then decided to go do Raging Bull and didn't want to do it because he didn't like boxing. I remember reading, he goes, I didn't like watching sports because it was all from one angle. In 60s,
that's interesting.
Which I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. He's like, it was all from one angle, and he liked, movies where it popped around, but it was all one angle. And so he's like, I don't know about boxing, but De Niro's like, I want to play this boxer. And then, it's like one of his best movies, and then it's so funny how those things happen.
Tough rewatch.
Yeah, that's a rough movie to watch, but I really like that.
It's the scene. It's what they talk about in Raging Bull. The whole you fuck my wife scene.
you fuck my wife.
What?
You fuck my wife.
And there's that thing where he was doing it on Joe. They're on Joe Pesci on his coverage, and he's going, you fuck my wife. And he's like, no. And then one take he goes, you fuck our mother. And Joe Pesci goes, what? Like that. And that's the take they use. The take that he's responding to, you fuck our mother. He's like, what'd you say? That's to give him something. and he can make them in these really interesting ways, especially what he did with editing and camera movement.
My dad, when I was 15, took me to some benefit thing for Tommy Morrison because he's from Tulsa.
Yeah.
It was something, and Muhammad Ali and Jake LaMotta were both there. And I got to meet both, and I had pictures with both of them, like Jake LaMotta and Muhammad Ali, which was fucking insane.
Jesus.
And I just am like totally terrified, I mean, it wasn't like consciously was like, oh, let's do Goodfellas, but you watch something 20 times over 30 years or something, it becomes ingrained in you. Yeah, I mean, everybody has those things. Scorsese's doing Godard and Fassbender, and you know what I mean, and all these other things. But no, it wasn't conscious. But I think the Coppa oneer and Goodfellas is a great example of a oneer that it actually tells a story. Some oneers that you see, they don't need to be a oneer. You go, why does this all need to be one shot? That I know, not consciously, is like, oh, it's a Coppa shot. But then when I watched it, I was like, oh, that's very much me watching Goodfellas all the time since whenever it came out. I was 12 when that movie came out, and being like, that tells a story. But Scorsese, that you talk about, Scorsese is constantly cutting. I mean, his stuff's got tons of fast cuts. The Coke thing. Yeah, it's a movie that doesn't really have an ending. That's kind of the climax of the movie. I think that's like an editor's movie. I mean, Goodfellas, that specific moment, and the way he uses music, how the music will start one way and then it goes into Muddy Waters and then it goes back into Harry Nilsson and then it goes into here, and you're just like, this thing is, but it feels emotional. It feels like a guy, and we all know, Scorsese used to do a lot of coke. It feels like a guy that is like, this is what it feels like when you're on a lot of coke. You're super paranoid. You're looking up at this helicopters, following you. You have all these things you're trying to do in the day or whatever it is. And it just felt, that's why I love his movies, is that he makes them, whatever it is, personal. See, I never did cocaine.
Yes,
I don't know how to do it. I don't know how they do it. I wouldn't know.
Being a kid and seeing Goodfellas, and I was like, well, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
And then I watched the Oscars with my parents, and I was like, well, that's going to win everything, And then it was Kevin Costner won Best Director for Dances with Wolves, and I was like, wait, what?
Cape Fear, which I remember seeing in the theater, and that came out in 91, so I would have only been like 12 or 13. Maybe I snuck into that, because I feel like that feels like an old movie to see as like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I saw that when I was 13. Yeah, it came out when I was 13.
Yeah.
That movie is really great, but also pretty violent.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a scene where Robert De Niro bites Ileana Douglas's cheek off.
Right.
Like he bites her face and tears her cheek off, and it's like really disturbing.
Yes.
Yeah, that one was a big one, but it is a thing once you're doing it, you just have your reasons for doing it, My favorite thing I ever saw a filmmaker say about that was when Martin Scorsese is interviewed by Richard Schickel, and Richard Schickel said, I saw Shutter Island and I have a lot of thoughts about it, and not all of them are very good. And Scorsese said, I can't hear it. Like, I don't want to hear it. But that was great.
You could have done that. You could have done that over and over again.
I was really surprised. I go, oh, you can say that?
Yeah, all you got to do is make Raging Bull and Taxi Driver and Goodfellas.
That's true. But but I think anybody could say that. Yeah, I could say like, I don't want to hear it. I think it's like, I think he's saying it not like from an ego place. He's saying like, I busted my ass working on this thing. I can't. I've definitely had people say that stuff. It is interesting because I'm a fan too.